10 minutes to go as India's private space age, which is now ready for a liftoff as Vikram-1 prepares to soar. The mission that represents far more than rocket launch. It is proof that Atmanirbhar Bharat vision is now steadily becoming a reality. Dr. Vedachalam and Jijit continues to be with us because when we talk of this milestone, Jijit, this is called as Mission Aagaman, which means arrival. And this seems to be a defining moment for India's private space industry. We have been waiting for a while. Now this new time that has now been allotted at 12:05 is when the liftoff will happen.
Yes. So I see that's not a big problem. So the launch is happening on the same day itself with a few minutes or a few minutes delay. It's not a problem. Even a few hours of delay, these are not a problem for this particular launch, which is a kind of a development launch. But the big picture, if you look at, this is really a substantial kind of a growth I can see in the private ecosystem. As I mentioned earlier, we have great players, many great players now in the private sector, and they are taking different parts of capabilities. I mean, what ISRO earlier possessed, for example, before the GSLV series, in ISRO we started with very small rockets, like starting with sounding rockets to the mid-sized kind of SLVs. Etc. So now the private players are taking that particular kind of a sector where there is a kind of huge requirement commercially as well for launching small satellites, because even in the last 10 years the size of the satellites have reduced considerably, especially for whatever weighing for a ton, because of the new technology and the miniaturization happening in the electronics, etc. There are similar kind of functioning satellites can be smaller, like for example 300 kilograms or less than 500 kilograms. So there are a lot of space organizations or other customer kind of firms, whether it is an agricultural survey, land survey, or any kind of geospatial kind of requirements.
Right.
So for them, these kind of players who launch satellites in the medium sector with like 300 to 500 ton kind of payloads, smaller satellites like CubeSats. This is an important emerging area, and when you have more number of private players in India, like Skyroot or Agnikul, so then it creates a kind of a richer and more vibrant ecosystem. And as I mentioned, like I compare with the United States, where they have a kind of a huge ecosystem like that. And some of the big players, equal in kind of capability, or maybe very close to NASA, etc. So that we are now reaching that kind of a
so we're waiting for the liftoff to happen. About 7 minutes to go. Let me just quickly connect with Dharini as well. Dharini, there has been a slight delay, but the excitement refuses to die down. I mean, we are looking at multiple students there, mainly that have come to witness this historic occasion.
Well, definitely, if we look at the number of public who have come here to witness this historic moment, there's a lot of them, hundreds of students, especially from various schools in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and the nearby states. They've come here to witness this historic mission. But right now we are given to understand that there is a very unfortunate delay, a very small delay. The launch is going to happen exactly by 12:05 p.m. is what the team here at Skyroot Aerospace have told us. So we have almost 7 minutes for the launch from now on. So the reason for this delay has not been stated officially yet, but what we can understand is that a very minor technical glitch was identified, and it is being resolved at this point in time, and the computer and the electronic systems, they are being put in place once again for a launch, and the launch will take place by 12:00 p.m. exactly is what the announcements that they are making here tell us. So let's wait and see what happens at 12:05 p.m. But of course we're all hoping for a very smooth launch at this point in time. The launch was originally is supposed to take place by 11:30 a.m. But right now we have almost a 35-minute delay in the launch schedule. So as far as this mission is concerned, as we've been telling right from the beginning, this is called Aagaman because Aagaman means arrival in
Exactly 12 noon now. So countdown, that means 5 minutes to go. Let's dip into the live updates coming in.
Safety, reliability, quality, and of course our IT teams as well. One of the things that has also been completed just now is the uploading of the mission computer init files. And that's a funny name of sorts, but it essentially means initialization files. These are essentially files that contain all the requisite parameters to tell the vehicle what it needs to do in the early ascent of flight. It adjusts for the day of launch wind profiles that we talked about. It also has the gyro compassing details
5 minutes.
within it.
And now we have confirmation that mission computer mode has been successfully changed to flight mode, and we are really jubilant and everybody is really happy that this stage has been successfully transitioned, and now we'll move towards the next check, that is HMSA disarming.
As we enter the final few minutes of countdown, another key safety milestone is underway. The head mount safe arm mechanism will be activated in a while, and till now it was ensured that the ignition chain has remained safely isolated.
That's right, Vaidehi. For the viewers who are very curious for this, the head mount safe arm mechanism, which we refer to as HMSA,
4 minutes.
is a safety device which is well mounted at the head of our solid rocket motors. And the whole job of this device is to safely isolate the pyrotechnics from the rest of the solid grain. And the reason why we do that is for safety, to prevent any accidental ignition from, let's say, lightning strikes. We do have a cloudy day today, and of course, we have lightning suppression systems. We have 4 lightning towers on the first launch pad. But there can also be some form of electrical runaway. There can also be static discharge. So to safeguard all these devices from electrical discharges, we have a mechanical separation between the pyro devices and the solid rocket motor.
Right, so yes. So till now, the ignition system, it was
3
in a protective, non-firing state, but now it's going to move on to a state wherein once the mission computer gives the ignite command, it can initiate a pyrotechnic chain of events.
That's right. And we're at T-minus 3 minutes, and we have confirmation that the stage 1 head mount safe arm mechanism, or the stage 1 HMSA, has been successfully armed.
This basically means that our motor is now ready to ignite.
That's really great to hear. Along with this HMSA safety mechanism, we have one more layer of safety which we call the FTS or the CDS, Command District System, or the Flight Termination System. This is utilized when if the vehicle during its flight mode tries to or like deviates from its intended flight trajectory, then the range safety officer can take a call to distract the vehicle to safeguard the resources around it.
T-minus 2 minutes.
That's right. As is with the case with any launch vehicle, we always prioritize safety, and with that in mind, we have all of these systems set up on the vehicle. We are now entering to condition the liquid stages on Vikram-1. So the orbital adjustment module is now conditioning itself and preparing for liftoff. So we are nearly at T-1 minute.
All stations,
And
stand by for the
we
timer.
will leave you
T-1
with the views of Vikram-1 and join you shortly at Liftoff.
Minus 55 seconds. Minus 50 seconds. Minus 45 seconds. Minus 40 seconds. Minus 35 seconds. Minus 30 seconds.
Real-time programs activated.
Minus 25 seconds. Minus 20 seconds.
Minus 20 seconds is the call out now.
Minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we have liftoff of Vikram-1, India's first private orbital launch vehicle. And we have great views coming from the tracking cameras. And isn't this quite something?
विक्रम-1 ने अपनी उड़ान भरी है। प्रथम चरण का प्रज्वलन प्रारंभ हो चुका है। विक्रम-1 ने प्रक्षेपण पथ को लांघकर आकाश को भेदने का निर्णय ले लिया है, एक ब्रह्मास्त्र की तरह।
That's very true, Suyash and Akhil. I am awestruck at the sheer power that stage 1 is producing. With this, we have two of our major prime mission objectives completed, which was successful ignition and safe tower clearance.
That's right, and we're coming up on max Q now, which is the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure, where the vehicle faces its largest aerodynamic loads as it flies through this zone at Mach 1.5 at an altitude of nearly 9 kilometers.
विक्रम-1 ने सफलतापूर्वक मैक्स क्षेत्र पार कर लिया है और दल
Plus 1 minute.
दल काफी उत्साहित है इस समय और विक्रम-1 प्रथम चरण के आगे बढ़ रहा है और हमें श्रीहरिकोटा व पोर्ट ब्लेयर पृथ्वी स्टेशन से मजबूत दूर संकेत मिल रहे हैं, जो बहुत ही अच्छी खबर है।
That's right. We are at a downrange distance of 22 kilometers with an altitude of 34 kilometers. And on your screens right now are excellent onboard camera views from the vehicle.
And we can also see quite nominal chamber pressure values on the MCC screen.
The vehicle is currently at an altitude of 50 kilometers.
और यहाँ पे प्रथम चरण का प्रतिकरण हो चुका है और द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन भी प्रारंभ हो चुका है।
This is quite a major achievement for the nation, with the vehicle successfully separating stage 1 and the ignition of stage 2 as well.
द्वितीय चरण अपना सफलतापूर्वक कार्य पूरा कर रहा है और प्रथम चरण का दहन अथवा प्रतिकरण समाप्त हो चुका है।
The vehicle is at an altitude of 89 kilometers, traveling at 2.6 kilometers per second. Of course, our target velocity for today is 7.6.
S2 performance normal.
We've just heard call out that the S2 performance or the stage 2 performance is nominal.
ये एक ऐतिहासिक क्षण है पूरे भारत और निजी अंतरिक्ष यात्रा का।
This vehicle has crossed 100 kilometers of altitude, which is the notion of edge of space, and we have reached space, guys.
Congratulations, Vikram-1 is in space.
हमारा यान अंतरिक्ष तक पहुंच चुका है।
And we've had callouts of separation of the payload fairing. We have successful payload fairing separation.
It's nearly at an altitude of 120 kilometers, and the protective fairing is no longer required and has been cleanly separated from the launch vehicle.
और यहाँ पे द्वितीय चरण का भी प्रतिकरण संपन्न हो चुका है और तृतीय चरण का प्रज्वलन भी प्रारंभ हो चुका है।
That's right, Akhil. We've had successful ignition of stage 3. The vehicle is currently at 157 kilometers above the Earth's surface. It is 355 kilometers downrange, traveling at nearly 4 kilometers per second. Now, the telemetry will switch over from Shar to Port Blair and further to Bogor.
अब यान अपनी अंतरिक्ष यात्रा पर निकल चुका है। तृतीय चरण का प्रज्वलन चालू है और उस
+4 minutes.
की प्रतिक्रिया नियमित रूप से चल रही है।
And as you can see on your screens, we have near exact following of the intended trajectory. The two lines on your screen essentially indicate the current performance of the vehicle, and it closely matches with prediction. This is on your screen on board from stage 3. What you see is the rocket plume and the nozzle, and Earth, our home.
What a beautiful view. क्या सुंदर दृश्य है हमारी पृथ्वी का।
S3 performance normal.
और तृतीय चरण का परफॉर्मेंस अब नॉर्मल है, या कि सामान्य रूप से तृतीय चरण का संचालन प्रारंभ हो चुका है और चल रहा है।
That's right. We've had call out that the stage 3 performance is nominal.
+5 minutes.
So stage 3 has a propellant loading of 2.5 tons, and we've had burnout of the stage 3 motor as planned at
S3
T plus
burnout.
5 minutes. Yes, we've gotten confirmation that S3 has burnt out, and now we're entering a planned coast period, something that lasts for 140 seconds, in which it's called as combined coast.
Coasting is normal.
Right, so we've got call out that the combined coast is nominal. This will last for roughly 140 seconds, where stage 3 is not producing thrust, but it's connected to the vehicle and it's going to coast as a single body. All of this is done to manage the altitude of the vehicle and also control where the stage will re-enter the Earth's atmosphere before splashing in international waters in a safe and planned manner. And jubilant views from the Launch Control Center, where the teams are extremely elated and excited.
और मिशन नियंत्रण केंद्र और लॉन्च नियंत्रण केंद्र से आपको दृश्य दिखाई दे रहे हैं। सभी यान परीक्षण दल अत्यंत ही प्रसन्न हैं और यहाँ पर जो प्रसंग है वो एक उत्सव का प्रसंग बन चुका है। एक ऐतिहासिक क्षण भारत के निजी अंतरिक्ष उड़ान का विक्रम-1 यान अब अंतरिक्ष में स्थापित हो चुका है। तृतीय चरण अब अपने कोस्ट फेज पे है और ये कोस्ट फेज अभी आप कैमरा व्यूज देख सकते हैं अपने प्रक्षेपण पर्दों या मोबाइल स्क्रीन्स पर, जहां पे आपको धरती का एक सुंदर दृश्य दिखाई दे रहा है।
As we can see on our screens right now, it's really amazing to see that Vikram-1 as of now is going along its intended trajectory exactly as expected. Our plots are really overlapping. The predicted velocities and the current flight velocities are exactly matching. And aren't you guys speechless right now?
I mean, yeah, मेरे पास शब्द ही नहीं है, मतलब ये मैं निशब्द हो चुका हूँ।
That's right. We are approaching another point wherein S3 will separate.
S3 is separated.
और तृतीय चरण का प्रतिकरण भी हो चुका है।
And you see wonderful views of S3 separating. And now we have combined coasting has ended, and stage 4 will now coast on its own for the next 130 seconds. So stage 4 will now fly on its own. Essentially,
celebrations that have been taking place. We have witnessed some emotional scenes as well, and this is a historic moment. Skyroot Aerospace's Vikram-1, a successful and a historic liftoff, and what mesmerizing pictures that are now coming in. Of course, we could now spot the Earth as well. Within 3 minutes that it entered space, over 157 kilometers off Earth, off the surface of the Earth. Dharani, I believe you've been speaking to the jubilant students there, and the pictures that are now coming in inside from the control room. I mean, the engineers there, it's emotional moments. There are celebrations that seems to have broken out, and of course, that will depend on the completion of all of the stages there. So we are looking at multiple stages. It has been following its the trajectory that it was noted for. So you've been speaking to the people there, and of course you witnessed this historic moment yourself.
Well, in fact, a few members of the Skyroot Aerospace team, they were standing here cheering for the, project. Sir, how do you feel? Your rocket is now into the space.
Yeah, we feel so proud.
Okay.
Yeah, that in first test flight is very successful, and we already launched Vikram-1, but this is very important project for us, and we made it. We made it, and we are so proud.
Spent so many sleepless nights. The entire team would
Not
have...
me especially, our team, our core team, who worked on the flight, in every department, like integration, the separations team, everything, even a detailed design team also, they worked sleepless nights. Last 1 month or 2 months is very hectic for them. I want to congratulate every one of them. I want to congratulate our core team, and I want to congratulate our CEO and the COO and the CFO, everyone. We made it. We made it, man. We made it.
How many members have worked on this project, sir? Like, if you can...
It's like more than 500 people.
500 people worked on this one project alone.
Not alone on this project. We're simultaneously working on the multiple projects. But Pavan and Bharat, they started from zero, and they dreamed of something, and they delivered something. They're fantastic. They're fabulous.
Final question, sir. How do you think this will propel India's growth in the private space sector?
Definitely, I can tell. We are competitor for SpaceX. Definitely. We'll become
I think you're running somewhere. Thank you so much for speaking to us in your busy schedule. So those are a few crew members of the Skyroot Aerospace team over here, and they tell that 400 to 600 people, they were working on this project for the past couple of months. The past couple of months especially has been very hectic. They've been working on this for a really long time, but the past couple of months specifically were very hectic, and now they feel very surreal. They feel a kind of excitement that cannot be described in words. And our competition is SpaceX. We want to compete with SpaceX.
I mean, speaking of the private sector, well, India has established its name now, Jijit. I mean, congratulations to the entire team, and absolutely amazing pictures that have been coming in. I mean, how long that we've actually seen a camera that is attached to a rocket, during liftoff. I'm told that pictures from inside the control room continue to come in as celebrations also break out. Let's quickly get you the updates.
In thrust, but it burns for the longest period of time, and it's all given to us by Raman-2, our main engine for this mission.
So yes, it must be a really amazing feeling, right? I mean, you and your team worked on this engine to get it going, and it is finally taking us to space.
Yeah, it's a feeling that's really hard to describe. Me and my team.
Well, it's a feeling actually which is hard to describe, but you can see the jubilation on their faces outside. The students who had come to witness this historic milestone, it's all smiles, and of course, Jijit, I mean, what do you make of this? SpaceX now has competition.
Yeah, and that's kind of a confident word I can see, and it's not. I mean, it's very close to the truth, because the SpaceX themselves have started something like this, and the kind of excitement that you get when you get this very first development stage rocket. I mean, the launch vehicle successful. That's created tremendous confidence. And the way they have expressed, like there are sleepless nights, 500 plus people working for tirelessly without sleep. That's something relatable. And whenever, because I myself was part of the developmental stages of the GSLV, so we can see whenever a development stage rocket, or launch vehicle which starts, or it's when it's launched into the space, the kind of excitement that you get is tremendous. When it becomes successful, that's create a kind of huge confidence, and that's ISRO passed through the stages, and that's how we got big vehicles, even Mark III now, and even the PSLV which launched the very prestigious.
Let's explain how many stages are there. I mean, it has been following its the set trajectory, and still it's T plus 13 minutes now since the launch. And pictures that are coming in, of course, we can see and spot the Earth also from here. But how many stages are actually needed to be completed?
So it all depends upon the different configurations of the launch. This one, what I understand is there are 4 stages and the 4th is going on. And once it reach, I think the objective is reaching around 450 kilometers. And once it reach that point, and then you will see the individual satellites being sent into its own. They become independent of the main module, the final module, and then they will do their own telemetry, and that will be tracked by those independent space agencies. So you can see the graph itself. It's the altitude graph, which shows we are heading towards something to 450 kilometers. So once it reached there, and once it acquired that around 7.5 kilometer per second velocity, everything. So that's the time this injection of the satellites, the payloads that will take place, and that will be the time when we say that the mission is 100% successful, and the rest of it is all about the satellites and their telemetry and their that's a kind of a different story. The individual owners of the satellites, they will be tracking them. And of course, there is as I mentioned, that the previous stages has to be falling onto the international waters in a safe manner, and I'm sure that already has happened. So that's how it's, and every kind of launch vehicle have its own methodology, like how the stage definitions, everything. It's all independent of that.
Yes.
Launch vehicle, especially this is a Skyroot private player, so they have a very kind of their own configuration for it.
But do you believe that Vikram-1 actually stands apart from your traditional launch vehicles because it has been designed from the ground up for growing the small satellite market?
Yes. This is 2026, and when I worked, it was the Chandrayaan-1, everything. That was in the first decade of the 21st century, and then you have 2 decades of progress. Even they have used this the synthetic. There is a kind of an advanced carbon-based kind of materials being used for the heat shield and everything. So the vehicle it's extremely lightweight, and but it's always it is equally powerful. So that's a kind of combination that every launch vehicle designers dream of, and that kind of materials are now available in 2026 because the space technology and the launch vehicle technology, everything has advanced to a very high level in the last 2 decades. So they make use of that all these new technological advancements, and that because of that their vehicle is very light, and but its power is not diluted. So that's the kind of combination that they have. And this enable them, of course, this is a kind of a test flight or a development flight. So their target was around the payload, if I understand correctly, it's around 350 kilograms, less than 500.
So that means lighter the structure, that means it will reduce the overall mass of the rocket. That will actually allow it to carry more payload while also improving fuel efficiency?
Yes. The fuel efficiency is the key, and most important parameter here is the most economical flight. The cost of this flight, they will definitely try to reduce it. Of course, whatever cost that we have for a development flight, once you get the huge amount of confidence, the subsequent flight cost can even get reduced. And their objective, what I understood, is around 2027. That is next year, they will have a commercial flight as well, or officially declared as commercial flight. So that, of course, many parameters of a commercial flight are already achieved, but they are basically a little bit conservative and saying that by 2025 they will definitely have a kind of reliable commercial launch vehicle partner for any of the kind of space technology based customers. So that's a kind of a great achievement. And as I mentioned, this kind of materials, these are very lightweight compared to something 2 decades ago, and that means its efficiency is higher. And because of that, if the vehicle is light, the amount of fuel required is also reduced, and the power is not diluted. So because of that, it can, with lesser fuel and lesser cost, it can have more amount of payload, the kilograms of payload, or the cost per kilogram, or
Good afternoon. I am privileged to formally announce that the first ever Indian private sector launch has been successfully completed. Not only did Vikram-1 meet its mission objective, which was simply to clear the tower. It went all the way up to 453-kilometer orbit, successfully completed all the tasks, and something that is way beyond expectation for the very first orbital launch ever taken by an Indian private company. There's not much more that I want to say on this occasion. I would like to invite Pawan and Bharat to talk about their journey and how they feel today, this momentous milestone that Indian private sector space initiatives have had. And I would like to thank everyone involved in this. Of course, the Skyroot team. The Skyroot team has worked day and night to make this day happen, ably supported by the team from SAR, from Extended ISRO, and from InSpace. So thank you, everyone, for giving India this proud moment. Thank you.
There he is. Astronaut Subhanshu Shukla is also there to witness this historic occasion. Of course, top dignitaries from ISRO, from the government, who are also present there to also witness this momentous milestone, as now India has made it big as far as in the private space sector. So we're going to head into a very short break, viewers. You're watching Times Now.